This is my weight loss journey to lose weight, how I've lost weight but stayed healthy. Now I'll tell you about how in my life I went from not knowing how to be healthy and lose weight at the same time to now being the weight that I want to be all year round, but also being healthy at the same time. So this is going to be a breakdown of the diet, part breakdown, not in depth, but just an overview, and hopefully this will help those who are always struggling to lose weight. So like and subscribe, because this video might just, well, save your life, at least change it for the better, hopefully. So since I finished my education, I wanted to pursue sport, so for me cycling, and I wanted to be as good as I can be, still pursuing that. How good can I be as a cyclist? How fast can I go? So at first, when I first started, I had no idea really about anything really. And now several years later, I feel that I'm in a position where, as you can see from how I look, I know now how to eat, and I believe it's the diet that is the most important thing for your health, regardless if you want to be a professional athlete. So I don't believe in calorie counting, so that's calories in versus calories out, and I don't believe in starving yourself to the weight that you want. I believe in health and weight loss, and I believe in a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle because it's the same thing every day that you can stick to, and that includes diet. So I've got a watermelon here. I'll just open it. We'll start getting the sugars in. Now make sure you've got an adult around, kids. Make sure you've got an adult to use the knives. And so as you can see here, fruit. So part of my staples that I eat is fruit. So staple essentially is a food source that provides you with the energy that you need to power you through your day. And fruit is one of the staples, and the other staple that I heavily rely on to give me my health and my weight loss, healthy weight loss, is rice. Now I'll put a clip here showing what I weighed this morning on the scale. I think it was something around 62.8, I think it was. And to put that into context, I'm 5'11". And as you've seen, I'm quite, I'm muscular, but I'm not going to the gym. So I don't go to the gym. I'm not pursuing that. For me, it's endurance sports. So cycling, and therefore how fast can I go on the bike. So if you're interested in that, like and subscribe for that, for increasing your watts per kilo for sports. So I'll do videos on that. Say, I promote a lifestyle, so it's everything encompassing, and it's the diet, it's exercise, and it's health. It's not just, I'm not just focusing on one thing. I want to create the complete package. Now you might think, well, what did he not know when he first started? And this might be, I hope, relatable to everyone who's watching, when they start out and they want to lose weight, but they don't really know what to do, and they see a lot of confusing messages. I think there's a lot of confusing messages at the moment, and I was like that as well. So I could never really find the weight that I wanted to. So I've lost a lot of weight over the years to where I am now, and I fluctuate around 62, 63, 64 kilos now, and I don't starve myself, and I fluctuate around this weight all year. Well, I discovered a very, very important scientist in my search for healthy weight loss, not just weight loss that leads to failing health. And the name of this scientist is Walter Kempner. And I'll repeat that again because this is the most important scientist, I believe, who's ever lived. Walter Kempner. And he changed my life, I think, for the better. And he's going to change yours now that you've heard of him. So that's why I don't just make it up. So when I talk about how I've lost weight, I base it on science. The science that we've known for a long time. So Walter Kempner, he came up with the rice diet, which essentially was white rice, fruit, and table sugar. And yes, white table sugar. And he started the rice diet in 1939. He was a scientist at Duke University in North Carolina. So yes, 1939. He died in 1997. So just before I was part of this world. He left the world. But he left behind an incredible legacy which is being forgotten about today. And the reason for that is profits over people rather than people. So health is being relegated and profits are coming first. But that's for another video. Other videos about the pharmaceutical industry and the confusion that they're creating. But just to outline why it was so important, this diet that he came up with. In 1939, there was no pharmaceutical industry as we know it now. So there was no drugs for weight loss, hypertension, heart disease, vascular disease, all of the comorbidities that we hear about now. If you look at especially in the West, UK, Europe, America, the leading cause of death now is heart disease, and then cancer very close behind it. And in 1939, there was over half the world's population was eating white rice as their staple, up to 80 to 90% of their calories taken in through rice, white rice. And he saw that there was a divide forming, and I say this is going back a long time, and we still see it now, between the East and the West, where heart disease was increasing, and as we see now, 50%. Whereas in the East, so China, for example, rural China, and there's other studies, and I'll talk about those. For example, the China study, which is also a very important study, and that was done decades ago as well, looking at the relation of diet and health. So to keep it focused on Walter Kempner for this video and how he changed my life. Now, I don't stick exactly to the rice diet, because as he called it, it was the diet for the almost dead, or the diet for the dying, that would save them and give them a new lease of life. So these were people that were months or weeks away from death, and he gave them years and decades of life back. In fact, in some people, doubled their life. So he was brought in to work at Duke University from Germany. So he was a German scientist, and he fled the Nazi regime and came over to America. He was, up until that point, he'd been studying kidney failure and the relationship to diet and solving kidney failure or kidney disease. But essentially, Duke University wanted to become the premier university for health, improving people's health. So he came over and he set up the rice diet, and he fed people white rice and fruit, and then he gave them table sugar. Now all of this time, so I'm talking about from 1939 through the 40s and through the 1950s, he saw 18,000 patients. 18,000. And specifically in this video I'm talking about weight loss, and I'm going to keep it to weight loss for this one, but I'm still going to mention that he, again, this was before the pharmaceutical industry, so there was no treatment up until that point. There was all of these comorbidities that they saw, and we still see. For example, malignant high blood pressure. These things were just thought of as death sentences. Obesity was death sentence. Type 2 diabetes was a death sentence. Heart disease was a death sentence. But he showed through his diet, the rice diet, he would reverse obesity, he would reverse type 2 diabetes, he would reverse heart disease, he would reverse high blood pressure. All of these things we associate with a poor life quality. He was able to show through diet therapy, preventative diet therapy, that you can reverse all of these diseases. And as you can see from the way I look, it works, doesn't it? And the way I look, I believe, is the way that you don't associate with disease. So you wouldn't look at me and associate me with high blood pressure, which I don't have, heart disease, which I don't have, and type 2 diabetes, I don't have it. I'm not pre-diabetic. I don't have type 1 diabetes either. And I'm not overweight, and I never struggle to lose weight. It's almost the opposite. My weight is so low that for some people they might actually not want to be that lean. But that'll be for other videos on how to increase your weight healthily, in a healthy way. So one thing you might be wondering, well, where's the protein? And that's rice and fruit and sugar, that's sugar, and that's bad for your health. Well, essentially his diet, in terms of the macronutrient breakdown, was about 95% carbohydrates through rice, fruit and table sugar. He gave to his most sickest patients, so those that were closest to death, weeks away from death, potentially through heart disease, obesity, high blood pressure, he fed them table sugar on top of a diet of white rice. And for example, with people with kidney failure, because by the time that you're at about 10% left of kidney function, when your body is processing protein, the kidneys filter your blood, and any of that excess protein that's in the blood, by the time you've only got 10% function in your kidneys, they can't handle that much protein. And you might say, well, rice doesn't have that much protein in it. It has more than enough protein, and in fact, for those people who were dying, it's got too much. So he would reduce the amount of rice intake and increase sugar in order to still get enough, so white table sugar, in order to get enough clean burning carbohydrate as a fuel source, as the staple, to live every day. And he reversed people's ill health. So focusing back on the weight loss, on one of his cohorts of people that he had at a time in his rice house, as he called it, there was 106 people, and he called these the centurions or something along that line. And these are essentially people who lost more than 100 pounds in weight, and actually the average was a weight loss for these people was about 140 pounds. And this again was rice, fruit and sugar. So the diet for the nearly dying was basically sugar. And he didn't find, during these years and years of study of patients on this diet, he never found any ill health due to lack of any of the nutrients that you might expect. Like, where do you get your iron or your calcium from, for example? Or where do you get your protein from? He didn't find any malnutrition through this diet, only benefits to health. So I don't stick exactly to the rice diet. I like to have vegetables and beans and pasta, and I will have sweets and occasionally ice cream. But another key point to make about this diet and weight loss is, firstly, he didn't prescribe any animal products. So that's bacon, steak, eggs, milk, anything from animal products. And the diet was low fat, always low fat. Because as he saw it, fat and all of the excess fat that we eat, and especially from animal products, is poisoning the human body and leading to the health crisis that we're seeing. And during his studies, he was seeing the exponential curve, or the curve of, so he was sort of at the beginning of the curve of increase in death from obesity, heart disease, through the diet, that the standard American or standard Western diet. And he was right there when it was happening. And I say he died in 1997, so essentially he was able to see this continued increase in ill health in the West due to the animal products that we consume. And the low fat, well, he believed we had too much protein and too much fat. And protein and fat, it can be from animal products, and it can also be from a plant-based diet. So yeah, I eat a plant-based diet, but the main reason for that, other than health and weight loss and doing that sustainably in a healthy way is being vegan. So I'm vegan for animal rights because I don't believe there's any humane way to murder. I don't believe there's any humane way to murder, and to do it for supposedly the health benefits of eating animals. Well, I'll do other videos showing that all of these leading diseases that we see, they're because of all of the animal products that we eat. Essentially, the food we eat is killing us. And I've read through the studies and looked at the science, and it's pretty obvious once you put down your defense of, well, I like the taste of this or that. Think about your health first, and all of the other implications that I think come, such as environment. What's the point of destroying the planet that you live on through ignorance or selfishness? It doesn't make any sense. So I hope this video helped. So like and subscribe, and I put this scientific backing into the way I eat, and I don't believe in just going on what you see on social media. I test the way I eat, my lifestyle, I test it on myself. So through the bike, I have a power meter on my bicycle, and I know from the power meter, because the power either stays the same or goes up, that my health is not declining. And if it was, just like if I was ill, just being ill, my performance in life would deteriorate. I'd be bedbound, or I wouldn't be able to cycle or run, but that's not the case. I'm healthy, and I don't have stress. I'm not stressed about my weight or my health, and that's through a plant-based diet based on sugar. Now I hope you enjoyed the video. My camera cut off because I keep forgetting to free up enough storage to make these videos. But I hope that you take away the message that I'm trying to give, and that's the importance of my message is diet is the thing that will lead to weight loss. And when I say diet, I mean eating to lose weight, not starving to lose weight, or not eating to lose weight. You can eat to lose weight, and Walter Kempner proved this, and it's coming up to 80 years ago that he started doing this study, and it's very important. It's a very important study. So I'm going to go away now. I'm going to probably have some rice now, a bowl of rice with some nice herbs and tomato sauce with some herbs and spices, and then I'm probably going to have this afterwards. Then I'm going to go and do about 25 miles on my bike in the sun. It's spring here in the UK, so I'm going to enjoy some nice warm sun today. And I hope that if it's confusing what I'm saying, I understand. So if you want to know more about Walter Kempner and any of the things that I've said, obviously any of the things I've said, put it in the comments, and like and subscribe, because the message that I'm giving across isn't woo-woo or whatever words you want to use to describe it. It's based on science and real scientists who cared about results and not profits over people. So the pharmaceutical industry, as I see it today, it's profits over people. So the way I eat, it keeps me lean all year round, and also for you, potentially, this way of eating versus type 2 diabetes, you'll need to use less insulin for type 1 diabetes, reverses heart disease, gets rid of your high blood pressure that you have constantly all the time. And also I recommend exercise, but I never exercise because that sounds like torture. I recommend moving your body and enjoying moving your body. So live life through movement and fuel it through the way that I've just spoken, and it'll keep you healthy, and hopefully you'll have a good, long, healthy life in whatever you choose to do, as long as it doesn't destroy the planet or harm animals or harm other people or harm yourself. So yeah, like and subscribe and be part of the solution and not the problem, and join the Williams health lifestyle. So that's good health through diet, moving your body, exercise if you want to call it that, and a healthy way of looking at the world as well. So through ethics, through morals, and taking some accountability for your actions towards yourself and the rest of the world. Because it makes sense that the diet that's maybe killing you and killing the planet isn't the way to go, is it? I think this is the way to go, based on the evidence that it works. So this Kempner rice diet, for example, diabetes, he reversed it. Type 2, he'd reverse it. And how many times do you hear, if you've got type 2 diabetes, that's it, you're on metformin and there's nothing you can do? That's not true. So I'll see you in the next one, and yeah, put down in the comments if you want to ask me anything about the video. Ask me anything about the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for your time. Yum yum yum. Ciao. Yum yum. Sugar, and I'm not fat.